Everyone, thank you so much for joining the session today. My name remains Esther Ijewere, founder of Women of Rubies, journalist, media personality, and of course, the host of the Get Talking with Esther show. And we run it here on Instagram Live, and it's syndicated on my YouTube channel at Esther Ijewere 4. I'm going to share that in a minute. Today, I am hosting the highly sought after Scrum Master Trainer, Project Manager par excellence, who is Canada-based, but her work is global. And she continues, of course, to render this service globally, support people, train them to become Scrum Masters, train them to be able to identify their roles, and the kind of jobs that they want. Especially immigrants who come here and they're trying, what's the career path I should take? I have this skill set, right? So Pamela's work is to say, listen, you have A, B, C. Let us bring it all together. This is the industry that you fit into. This is what you can do. With a little training and a push, you can, of course, thrive wherever you find yourself. So Pamela, thank you so much for joining once again. You just want to jump in and just a little bit intro about yourself, just, so the guests can meet you directly.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pamela Anoliefo, and I'm so excited to be speaking to you on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. So like Esther said, I have been in technology for about 15 years. And in that time, I've had multiple roles that have progressively become more senior and more leadership based. So I have experience as a business analyst, project manager, product manager, Scrum Master, and release train engineer. And people are like, what is a release train engineer? Do you work with trains? No, I don't work with trains. I work with what we call Agile release train. So think of myself as a chief Scrum Master at this point in time. So I have multiple Scrum teams that are underneath my program. So that's a bit about myself. I've mostly worked in the financial services industry. So I've worked in banks from Nigeria to here in Canada, but in technology, because my background has been from technology day one, but I have experience working in financial technology, so as you know, fintechs, and I have huge expertise in cards and payments. So when we're talking about Visa cards, MasterCards, Interact e-transfer, all of that, I've worked on projects like that, and I have a bit of retail experience, insurance, and of course, not-for-profit. I live here in Canada in the beautiful province of Ontario. I live in a beautiful city, very old city with lots of culture, lots of history. I live in the beautiful city of Hamilton that is known for its beautiful waterfalls. So we have over 100 waterfalls in Hamilton. And apart from my job, I'm not just a bookworm or a techie. I love to hike, so I'm always in nature somewhere looking for a waterfall with my kids, hiking. I'm an avid hiker. I love to cook. I love looking for new cuisine from every culture. Anything in Nigeria. I'm Igbo, by the way, but any culture in Nigeria, I'm waiting for their cuisine, and I'm also cooking international cuisine. And then apart from that, apart from what I do, my day job, I'm also a university counselor in my alma mater. So I attended Queen's University, Kingston, Ontario. So I'm also one of 50 university counselors who sit on the university council with the school leadership to help with advisory. So that's a bit of myself.
Listen, did you just listen to that? You see, there are some people that you just got to let them do justice to the profile, and that is because it is so powerful. And this woman is a bit of everything beautiful. So Pamela, thank you so much once again for that beautiful introduction. I was listening to you and I'm like, okay, release manager, project manager, Agile, the key words there. But we're going to come right into that. Right. So thank you everyone once again for joining. I see you all. Yes, what a profile. I see you, Sistewa. I see you, Buzdex. I see you, Bolanle. All of you, thank you for joining. So the session is about to start. If you know somebody who knows somebody who wants to start a career in Scrum, this session is for them. Because since I posted Pamela, I've had people come inbox to say, oh, Esther, oh, so how can I, you know what, today she's going to answer all those questions. It is not my field. And I stay on my lane to the T. If I don't know, I don't know.
So, I'm going to get you to, Esther, even if you're not going to become a Scrum Master, I'm going to get you to do Agile certification. You'll be one of the only journalists that has Agile certification. And you put on your profile.
Now that we are talking about that, you know, I something ministered to me, and I got to be honest with you. Now that you push that out to me, well, I'm like, when I saw the flyer of the class you're starting, you know, the 6-week class, we're going to talk about that as well. And I said, you know what, certification not the entire person
at all. At
so
all.
I go register for this thing, make
Yeah.
I understand what Pamela they do. So yes, I am going to be one of your students, and I'm saying this live, so you can see it doesn't take much for you to jump and, you know, learn more. I'm a person who is always open to learning, and Pamela just threw a challenge to me, and I took that challenge, and I'm going to show you guys. It's not just about putting it on my profile alone. It is me also sharing the knowledge in my industry and using the knowledge for my industry. So thank you once again for that, Pamela. So my first question to you, like I always like to ask my guests, what inspired you? You know, did anything in your childhood at all inspire you to pitch your strengths in Scrum?
Yeah. So it's a good question. I would say, okay, so Scrum is much further down the line, obviously, because as a child, when I chose the path I chose, we didn't know what we're going to get to. But as a child, I would call myself a bookworm. So I one of the things I do is I absorb tons and tons of information. I'm always constantly reading. I was the child that my parents didn't have to remind to read a book. I would read a book and not eat. I would, because I don't want people to disturb me when I'm reading. I would go and hide, and you call me, I will not answer you until I'm done reading that book. I was that kind of child. So I used to absorb tons and tons of information as a child. And when it was time to go to university, you know, I was a science student. As all of you in Nigeria know, like you either go science or arts. I was a science student. I know my parents had any background in science. But I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. But I was sure I didn't want to be a doctor, for sure. Like it didn't suit my personality. You know, I want to still go for parties and do all of that, but I didn't want that kind of lifestyle. So I was still thinking. I watched a movie called Fair Game. You should go and check it out. I don't know how, but that I tell you, like I always tell people, that was what made me go into technology. I think that was one of the movies I watched when technology was really coming up and computers were doing all the wonderful stuff. I really never had anybody around me who did computer engineering. I probably heard about it, but not seriously. And I just said to myself, you know what? I like what they did in this movie. I just think that computers are going to be the way the world is going to be run in a few years. And that was it. I insisted. I told my mother, no medicine, nothing. Initially, I was thinking of becoming an aeronautical engineer. And I realized, well, that's a fallacy. I don't like heights. Like, why would I want to go and do something that puts me exactly where I don't want to be? And so I chose computer engineering, and that started my journey in technology. I have a bachelor's in computer engineering, and then I have a master's in innovation and entrepreneurship. So, you know, technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship, what an amazing mix, right? So, you know, I did technology from, you know, in Nigeria. I worked at the banks. I was fortunate to start my career in technology from the banks and all of that. And then, you know, I have been in teams that, you know, continue to build products, right? So we managed the systems for cards and processing and all of that. And so that's how I was in that space where not just doing technology, but building products, right? Because Scrum really touches the product, the end user a bit. So I really got into that space where I moved more from the back end technology, more to technology in the front end that touches the actual user, touches how do we build products, because we build products for real people. That's why I teach people, like, you don't have to have technology experience to be a Scrum Master, because the technology does not matter. It is the value that we give a customer. Esther does not know what technology stack they built her app on, or her phone. All she needs is a phone that does X, Y, Z. The user at the core. So I moved more to that space of technology where it's more, we're thinking about what is the user experience, what does the user want. And so being in that space and then moving to Canada, you know, in Nigeria, we wear multiple hats. I wore multiple hats. I would be a product manager, be a project manager, be a QA. I would test everything. And I also had to write code. Right? Even though that was not my role, but we wore so many hats. Then coming to Canada, it's a bit more specific. You can't be everything. And so I started to shift towards business analysis because that was the closest to what I was doing back home. And then, fortunately for me, my first job, I was in the Scrum space. And that was how my career continued to form in Scrum. And then realized like this is a fancy name for something we've been doing in Nigeria, but not doing it as well as they do it here. But I've been around, I've really been around that space even back in Nigeria. And that's kind of exactly what helped me. So basically the journey was I watched the movie that got me to this stage.
Maybe I should try and watch
Yeah,
the
what
movie
movies
too.
though? Be
That
careful
would,
of the kind of movies you watch.
that
Watch
would,
good movies
that
that will inspire
would
you.
make me, that would make, oh no, speaking of movies, believe me, because I'm a writer, so I always watch things that would challenge my thought process in a good way. So I was going to say that maybe I should watch a movie that would make me know how to get to operas, because one of my
Yeah.
own dreams as a media girl is to one day, have a sit down with Oprah. So it can either go both ways. But the focus is on you today, so I'm going to bring it back home to you. Right. For a lot of people don't know what Scrum is. You've given a background of how you got into the industry. So I want you in plain man language. Tell us, what is Scrum?
I'll try because Scrum is quite. It's very ambiguous to describe it in like a few minutes. What I'll do my best. So let's think of it as this. I would use something as simple as making a design, a cloth. So let's think of these fancy clothes that designers wear on the runway. I'll use that as an example. Imagine that was a software, which is, hey, I need this dress in 8 months. I need this nice dress in 8 months. I want it to look like this. I have this idea and all of that, right? To avoid what I ordered versus what I got, right? Where you go away, tell the designer to make clothes, and then you come in 7 months, it doesn't fit you, it looks awkward and all of that. What Scrum does, it looks at, if I want a dress today, can I see what, can we have a fitting in 2 weeks or in 1 month? So that we can see how it fits, how some of the pleats are going, and then you can adjust it and get feedback fast. What happens in that case is that if the cloth is being made in a direction that does not fit me, I can give feedback, and then the designer can respond to my change, right? And they are more confident that they're building something that I want that fits me. Now, what about if I get pregnant in that time? They might, and I don't talk to them, and they bring me a dress I cannot wear. I'm pregnant, so they're like, oh, you're pregnant. Okay, so now we will have to extend the fabric. They are now responding to a change in the market, a change in my taste as a consumer. Now, they've not gone and built a dress after 7 months that they now have to go back and rework. They were able to change in fast, so that at the end of the day, 7 months, I got a dress that fit me. That's just a way of explaining it. Now, let's bring back to technology. I just wanted to give you context, right? Because when I coach, I want to use everyday things to teach about high-level abstract things. Let's bring it down to technology. Few years ago, we all know that bank was brick and mortar. We walked into the bank to collect money and we'll stay on queues, we'll write checks, right? Nobody writes checks these days. Nobody. We all do transfers and all of that. You didn't have to go and say, tell me my balance and write on your paper. Now you have an app in your hand that is basically a bank in your hand, and your interaction with the bank is very minimal. So think of it like this. The first time these apps were ever built, they did not have every single feature that they had today. They probably started as a basic app. So in Agile, what we tell ourselves is, even though we want a fully functional app, the customer is not going to sit around and wait for us for a year or two to give them all of the things that they want. We want our customers to start to interact with our products as soon as they can, because one, we're giving them value, and two, we're able to get feedback from them. So we're like, okay, basic thing I need from my banking app, if I was still new to it, I want the ability to check my balance, see my transaction at least. Maybe not do transaction, I don't really mind for now, but at least let me be sure that my money is there. Scrum helps a team to prioritize features. So Esther wants a beautiful app for Get Talking with Esther, but we know she's a perfectionist, she's a journalist, so she knows what she wants, she knows her stuff, she's all about quality. she's like, I want this 50 things, but they're like, Madam, you want the 50 things in 30 in 3 months. We can't give it to you in 3 months. It's going to take us 1 year. She's like, oh, it doesn't make sense. And an agile team would say, please prioritize all the features you want. Which ones are your highest priority? And based on that, they start to give you your products based on your high priority and say to you, so in Scrum, we work in short cycles to be able to give you that functionality rather than wait for a long time. And we call those sprints. So the team would basically plan and say, this is what we can launch during this period. A sprint could be anywhere from 2 weeks to 1 month, and say, ma'am, by the end of this month, we have your people can log in and watch your YouTube videos. Then by next month, we'll do this, we'll do that, right? And so for Scrum to work, it has a set of roles that must be there in the team to help it work, so that the team is disciplined to produce these results. And those roles are the one that is most familiar with is a Scrum Master who understands the Scrum framework, which is a framework for how teams can build adaptive solutions and release them faster and quicker in a way that they can respond to change. So there's the Scrum Master who is the expert of Scrum that teaches their team how to use Scrum to do this. Then we have the product owner who is the person that says, this is what I want us to build, right? And then we have the developers, the cool guys who go behind the scenes and create that product. They want to go and do all of the code, right? So that's kind of what Scrum is. It's really used mostly in software development, but can now be applied to a wide range of projects.
Amazing. Listen, it got complicated at a point up until the last one. I'm like, okay, now I understand. And I love the way you broke it down. Like, you took it from high, then you brought it to the middle, and you're like, okay, this is what it is. So I love the way you started and you finished the explanation. And yes, I was going to ask you the last part you just said, where can we use Scrum, right? So it's like someone said, yeah, basically under the process of projects and then on smooth transition. Yes. So you're saying that Scrum is applicable to every sector, either technology, agriculture, right? If I hear you correctly, is that what you're saying?
Yes. So we'll talk about, so this is why people should attend team training, right? So Scrum itself, if people are familiar, I get a lot of questions. People like, what's Agile? What is Scrum? So Scrum is a set of high-level principles. Agile is a set of high-level principles that allows a team to provide solutions that meet the customer's need in an adaptive, iterative, and incremental way. So think of Agile like the body of work of medicine. And in medicine, we know we have conventional medicine, we have herbal medicine, we have different brands of medicine, right? Inside it, but they're all medicine, right? But the applications are different. So Agile itself is a large body of how can we deliver value faster in an ever-changing world, and Scrum is just one of the ways that a company or a team can implement it. There are also different ways to be agile, which other people don't know. There's Kanban. Kanban is a different framework. So I'm certified in Scrum. I also have Kanban certification, so I can work with Kanban teams. And I also have certification in Scaled Agile, which is how can we implement Scrum in companies that are very large, like a company that has tens of thousands of employees, hundreds of thousands of employees, right? So you're right, really. Like every sector can be agile. The way we implement agile within them can be different depending on the work that they do. But the most common implementation of agile is Scrum. That's the one that most people are familiar with.
Amazing. Thank you so much. You very explicit, the way you've broken it down, like I said. And, I want to ask you, when you came to Canada, right, like you said, we explore Scrum and Agile in Nigeria, but I want to believe there was no name for it at the time. So when you got here, how did you discover that, listen, this is something that I want to do? Is this the energy you brought from Nigeria that you brought it and said, listen, I've been doing this from home.
Yeah,
this is the thing.
Yeah. So what I always advise people is that, like, information is out there, seek it, right? Like, information is out there, seek it. I mean, we understand that sometimes, like, we're overwhelmed by life and sometimes you don't get the information that you need. But you also continue to be a seeker of information. So for me, moving to Canada meant for me was not a holiday. Like, I wasn't traveling for a holiday with my kids, and I was coming with like little children. They're all under 7. And so I was like, I'm putting my nice job in Nigeria, putting a nice job, selling my Mercedes, and I'm moving here. So like I definitely want to live that same life I was living in Nigeria, right? Like I was like, I don't want to come and start from the bottom, So I had to ask myself, like, what do I need to do to make sure that I can ease my transition into this country? And that was really like, networking. We talk about networking a lot, and people just think it's a gimmick. It was very important. I didn't have family in Canada. I was the first of my family to come to Canada. I opened the way for others to come. And I'm also the firstborn, right? So I had a sense of duty to be able to like show them how it should be done, so that they can believe. Like we always have people look up to us. So sometimes when people look up to us, so there's that pressure, and we just don't want to get it wrong, right? And so I really made sure that I was reading, I was connecting, I was attending a lot before I moved to Canada, a lot of fairs for immigrants. And then I started to realize, what is Scrum? They will not explain. I'm like, yeah, I watch more videos. I'm like, we're already doing something like this similar back in Nigeria into our technology team, right? What is business analysis? I started to get that knowledge, and that's really what helped me to be able to say, okay, this is the area that I want to focus. And then once with that knowledge of what I wanted, where I wanted to focus on, I then decided what is the gap between where I am now to where I want to get to. And it was certifications, it was like networking, there were late nights, there were trips to Ghana by 12 a.m. in the morning to go write exams, because when I was moving to Canada, they were not writing. When I was certifying to be a senior business analyst, then a certified business analyst, then they banned Nigeria from writing the exam. I had to go to Ghana to write that exam before I moved to Canada, and they delayed my flight. And I arrived Ghana alone 12 a.m. Never been to Ghana before, to go and write an exam to move to this country. So there's like, get the information, network. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We're all a product of asking questions, right? We're all a product of seeking information. And don't feel like if you ask questions, people will make you feel bad. You know what? It means you're talking to the wrong person. Talk to another person. There's going to be somebody who appreciates your struggles, who's been there, and who can give you the information they need, because we have to build each other up. We're not here to just succeed alone.
Yeah. I love the part where you said we need to ask questions. We need to build each other up. I don't know about Scrum. Even while you're my guest today, it's also a learning curve for me. And I said to myself, I'm going to ask the right and strategic questions, because I know that there are a lot of people out there who still don't understand what Scrum is. And, this is such a powerful session, informative session for them. So what is the inspiration behind Redluxe Consulting? I understand the services that you render, but from the name, Redluxe, what is the inspiration? Where did the inspiration for that come from? And of course, at what point did you decide, okay, this is what I'm going to call my organization, or I am going to start this as a business here, not just as a person?
Yeah. So when we move, like I said, we always need like a whole community around us to pull us up, right? And coming to a new country, especially as adults, it's really challenging. Like you didn't come here in your youth or as a child, and you had a chance to go through the system. And so when I moved here, people helped me, right? People gave me information, pushed me in the right direction. And so I started to pay it forward. And that was by sharing my knowledge, my limited knowledge. I mean, it's not like I was an expert then, but I knew what I knew. And I started to help people and all of that as people are coming in. And so more and more, like in fact, before the pandemic or during the pandemic, I did a free business analysis training for I think over 10 people. I just put in a group. I was like, hey, I'm working on a project, and I just need some volunteers who want to learn business analysis. Come and learn with a real project, and they showed up, right? And I've also been doing it on a case by case with like volunteers who come to Canada, and they're like, hey, Pam, my friend moved, she wants to be a BA, or she wants to be a Scrum Master. Please, can you talk to her? Can you hold her? And I've been helping all of these people grow. Apart from that, I am, for those who know Access Employment Ontario, Access Employment is probably one of the biggest settlement agencies. So they really work with some of the top tier companies to get professionals who were probably high-placed professional back in Nigeria or back in any country to be able to get some basic skills to land jobs that are similar to their roles in the workplace. So Access has like really big clientele. And I went through the Access program when I moved to Canada, and I became a volunteer for them. So I'm one of their alumni ambassador. Even next week, I'm coming to talk to a group of women that are finishing from their program, just to encourage them to say, like, you know what, it might look like you're just starting now, but in a few years, they didn't look back. Like, I was once in your position, I was once in a class like you. For 5 years down the line, this is where I am and this is what I'm doing, right? So I've been mentoring people. I've had friends encouraging me, like, hey, Pam, go and put this thing together, make it a business. Like me, I was like, what? I don't have any, what am I doing self? Do you understand? Like, I did not really feel like, you know, when you help people, you just sit as helping. That was it, right? And so I had friends that came on pushing and saying, like, madam, you have to make this more impactful, right? Because obviously I'm limited to the amount of people I can really help, because it's one-on-one, right? So I really said, okay, to be able to spread the impact, to be able to give people like the training, the knowledge and the confidence that they need to land the jobs that they can. Let me put this together as a business. And so I'm not just a trainer. Like, I don't just come and teach academic stuff. I'm also about strategy. I'm sure you can tell, right? Like, I don't just say, oh, if we're reading the book and we've gone. No, like, okay, in the real world, how are we going to get the jobs? What are we going to do? In my group, my Scrum Master group, they know I challenge them. Like, in fact, I gave them a challenge last week. I was like, I gave them a challenge. I told them, the challenge was for them to reach out to 20 recruiters. So first of all, we started from create an elevator pitch. We went through an elevator pitch challenge. These are people that have done my training. They created an elevator pitch. I corrected every single elevator pitch that they said. And then the next challenge was, now that your elevator pitch is done, I need you to go to LinkedIn and I want you to select 20 recruiters and send your elevator pitch to those 20 recruiters. And on top of those 20 recruiters, I want you to look at other agile professionals that you want to network with. Send them your elevator pitch. We will debrief in 2 weeks. Let's see how many people have reached out to you, right? So it's not just training. I don't just train and buy through the window. Like, we're creating strategy. We're creating strategy on a day-to-day basis. I want them to be cutting edge and all of that. And some of them are like, this thing is working, I got a call, I'm having a call next week and all of that. I'm seeing them doing all of these things. So the inspiration behind Redluxe is to be able to give training that goes beyond just the classroom, goes beyond the textbook, to say, how can you apply this to the real world to get the job? Because at the end of the day, they're coming for that training to get the job, right? And so that's what we're doing. Is I want to train people differently from how I was trained, which was just all academic and all of that stuff. I want to be able to say, we train you, we will create an ecosystem where we continue to coach you. Because what I want to look at in the future is that in the next 5 years, some who have trained as CEOs, their Scrum Masters, their leaders, I will feel glad that they attended a 6-week training with me and I helped them get to that height. There's no greater honor for a coach or a teacher to see what your impact has had on someone's career.
That's powerful, and thank you for sharing that. You know, sometimes we do things like a hobby, but the truth is we can actually render a better service when it's actually a job, when we take it seriously, and then, you know, folks will take us more seriously. So for those who want to pitch their things, you know, in your sector, for those who want to know more about Scrum, who want to know about Agile, project management, what is the first step, or what are the steps they need to take towards this?
The first step is, you know, you've decided you want to do this. So what I usually do, though, I have a free information session. So my free information session is usually 1.5 hours. But I've done a couple of them for the quarter. But I have YouTube where they can watch. It's really more about just giving you basic information about Agile, about Scrum, what is driving the trend. I always tell people, like, don't say except Scrum the rain. Like, come and find out why is it raining. Do you understand? It's not just raining just because something. There's something driving it. Innovation, COVID, businesses have to try, because there's more and more companies coming out there and they're doing awesome things. So if a company does not innovate and if they don't embrace business agility, they will die. And for a company to become agile as a business, they have to change their operations to be agile. So what does it mean? It means they change their strategy. And for them to change their strategy, they need to change the organization. And by changing the organization, it means that they have to hire people to help to drive that strategy. That's why, period. That's why there's a demand for Scrum Masters. They didn't just wake up. It's like, we need to stay alive. So we need to reorg. And so by reorging, there's a massive recruitment to bring in professionals who understand Agile. And they can be Scrum Masters, they can be Agile coaches, right? I also teach people on what is your career path. So if you're a Scrum Master, then what? What next? I give a Scrum Master forever. We talk about what are the progressive career paths for Scrum Masters. We talk about how much you can earn as a Scrum Master. We also review what are some of the careers that we've seen that have made it to Scrum. We've seen homemakers who would have not worked for years become Scrum Masters, people that were medical doctors, pharmaceuticals. I talk about that. And then finally, you know, we do a Q&A session, and then we talk about the training. So I have all of that on YouTube. I can always share it. It's all, anybody that follows me, if you follow me right now, if you go to my link, my LinkedIn, if you go to my profile, you will see my free information session that gives you information about Agile. Now, the next step, the logical next step is for you to get trained. Anybody can become a Scrum Master. Anybody. And this is not a gimmick. Like, you can go verify from two well-known Agile certification bodies, scrum.org, scrum.org, and the scrumalliance.com. For you to take Scrum Master training, there's no minimum certification. There's no, you have to have been in technology. There's nothing like that. There's no entry criteria. Every experience you had before is valid, so it doesn't matter. So anybody can be a Scrum Master with the right training. So if you have a good trainer like me, you get trained. We'll train you. I have two kinds of courses. There's a 4-day course. The 4-day course is for those who want an accelerated program. So this can be for executives who just want to know about Scrum and want certification because they're not going to do the work, right? This can be for people who are curious and need certification to just have Agile certification on their resume. Then there's for the people that say, you know what, I want to lead this change. I want to be a Scrum Master. I want to be in a Scrum team. They're the ones that do the 6-week training, immersive training. There, you get to learn everything about the Scrum Guide, and then we do role playing. So you get to be a Scrum Master. You will do all of the Scrum events. You use all of the tools. I'll be there coaching you, but you're not. It's not more theory. You're actually like in the real world. We do this every day, Monday to Friday, and so that when you're going for an interview, when they say, "Tell us how you do backlog with family," you're not reading it because I told you in class. You're going to say it because you did it. You actually did it. If you say, talk to me about this, you can actually speak to it. Yes, you might not be an expert because truly, it takes years. Like, it took me years to get to this stage. But remember, someone hired me the first time I got certified. It's going to be your story. You just have to believe, right? So that's how what it's about. And then when we finish the training, you will go and write the Scrum Master exam. So professional Scrum Master. So you do training, you get certified, we do your resume, and then you start applying for jobs. And you're still in an ecosystem, so you're not left behind. I offer great post-training support here on WhatsApp, and we continue to grow the other Scrum Masters in the WhatsApp group that are in your journey or have gotten jobs that can continue to support you. So even if you don't have access to me all of the time, there's always one person you can say, "Hi, I've been seeing you in the group, or I like how you're doing. Please, can I talk to you for a few minutes?" So we're creating a whole system that helps itself.
I mean, thank you so much for sharing that. Look at me here, listening actively and just getting all this information inside me. Right. So for those who probably want to explore, learning Scrum for you, how should they go about it? I know you've said they can check your inbox. Do you have any program coming up soon? Because I want to have some people are watching because they want to take the next step.
Yeah.
They don't want to wait. So is there any program you have coming up soon?
Yeah, so our next training is starting June 10th. And the good thing is that if you are joining from Canada, you know that tomorrow is Mother's Day. So I'm running a Mother's Day promo. The promo is fantastic. You can do the 4-day certification, which used to be $500. You can do it for $300 only. And then the 6-week, which is the 6-week immersive program, which is our flagship program that includes like interview prep, practical, resume. That one it was $2,000, but it's now $1,450. So our next training, like I said, is coming up June 10th, and we're running a massive Mother's Day promo. So if you want to key in, you can just send me a message and say, "Hey, I watch you on Talking with Esther, and I would like to key into the Mother's Day promo that you have, and I'll send you over the details."
Oh, thank you. That's amazing. This interview has been so explicit, like the way you're just, pushing out the information. No long thing. Just
because I know the people that are here, they didn't come to be sold fairy tales. They want to They
No,
want to
and the
know the
one,
real truth. Yeah.
yes, and the ones who are going to watch on YouTube, when this is on YouTube as well. So it's a continuum phase of learning. Now, I know you do Scrum, you are Agile Master. I always tell people, oh, work cannot play. What other activities, do you do as Pamela, right? So if you're not doing the Scrum and the Agiling and the project management, what other things, do you do as Pamela?
Pamela does a lot of stuff.
Well,
Okay,
let us into that.
I've got 3 kids. I've got 3 kids, 3 beautiful kids. My daughter is a competitive gymnast, so she takes all of my time. She does competitions in gymnastics. She's 7. She's also a model here in Canada. So I'm actually also a mom manager. That's like I manage my daughter. She's got a few good gigs. I've got 2 sons. They are great. They're also in sports on their own level. So that's what I do. Apart from work, managing those children. Then specifically, I said I love to hike. I love to cook a lot. Like you always see me cooking. And then I'm really I love culture. I'm really big on culture. So you will find me like I'm always exploring somewhere in Canada. I'm always like I have a challenge out to my kids for like this summer. I said, the theme for our summer is explore Hamilton, right? We moved here during the pandemic. We've seen a lot of places, but we continue to learn. We're going to museums. We're looking for really fun things to do. And then I love to travel. I love traveling, so I'm always looking for somewhere to travel. So those are some of the things I really love to do. And then I love to read when I can. But, growing up as an adult with all of these things I mentioned, my book
I know.
is filled, and there are books on my table. I really want to read them, and I've been reading them, but I'm not finished. I'm looking forward to push, I'm looking forward to some quiet time. So I'm going to take some time off from my training. I told people like you have a chance to be trained by me June and July, because August and September I'm not going to be training. I have to just focus on the 4 things I have, because all work and no play makes Pam a dull girl. So
I know. And
off.
summer is very short
Yeah, I'm
in the
taking
abroad.
2 months off. Summer's we got to enjoy summer, because next thing the snow is back and we can continue training indoors.
Oh, wow. Oh, what? There's snow next week?
No, I said summer is short, so I have to use my summer to enjoy, because very soon now, before we know it, snow is back.
I know.
Then
Yeah,
I can go back to
I said
no,
snow in May.
no.
All right. Thank you so much, Pamela. So like I always do, it's a culture and a tradition rather for me to ask women that I bring on the show. I want to assume that there are women that you look up to. There are women who inspire you. And because, of course, we are in the Mother's Day season, are there women who sort of like inspired you on your journey? Not just as a Scrum Master, as a woman, as a mother, and, beyond as a human being.
So my mom, first of all, is my biggest inspiration. Of course, she was my role model. My mom is a go-getter. My mom was a teacher. She rose to the level of assistant and director of education in Lagos State government. So she's been in that space, and you can imagine how it must have been for us as children. She made sure that we were focused on our books, right? And also apart from that, she was also she also had her own catering business that is very successful, and is still successful to the day. So she was my first example of how to be as a woman, right? And I learned a lot from her, and I really want to thank her for setting that example and for giving us the ability to get an education, the ability to be the best that we can. My childhood definitely was big in shaping me to where I am. And I'm very big with mentors, and I can tell you that even as a child, my mother did that. Part of my journey to, once I figured out I wanted to be in technology, my mom identified some of her friends and who she looked up to that were in technology. And when I come home for a holiday, she would take me to their office and make me sit there for 1 hour. She would excuse us in the room, and she said, please continue talking to this, my daughter, and all of that. She did all of that. And so I'm a product of mentorship, and I want to thank her so much. The other 2 women that inspire me is Beyonce. I love Beyonce. I just like how consistent she has been through her career and how she's kept it clean. She's scandal free. She has great work ethic, and she's got such a huge following and so much respect. Like I don't know anybody who does not respect Beyonce. Like, so if I can become a Beyonce in Scrum, like, I'm going to take it. And that's kind of like what I'm channeling. I'm channeling Beyonce in Scrum. I don't know how to dance though, but that consistency quality, that kind of it. And then finally, Michelle Obama, first and only Black first lady. She's so classy. You know, she supported her husband. I read her book, Becoming. So, you know, I really respect her for being the first person to do it for Black women, and she did it so classy, and she still continues to do it. That she's such an in-demand speaker even up till now. Like, she's left the White House, but her influence has not reduced, right? Like, so those are the three women, and there are many more, but they're the ones that I can really talk about in this short period. Those women really inspire me most amongst
Thank you
others.
for thank you for sharing that. I love the Beyonce, I love the Michelle Obama, and the reason why I love it is because for your sector I would have expected like somebody in tech, but that goes to show that you've got a broad mind and you're not limiting yourself to the people in your sector alone, but you're also taking motivation from all the women around you. So thank you for that. Please, if you have any question for Pamela, you can put it in the comment section. However, I think we have one question. Somebody sent me a question to on WhatsApp, but I'm going to start with this one. Is there age limit to getting a job in this sector? Also, aside doing masterclass as a certified Scrum Master, is it entrepreneurial in nature?
Okay, good question. So there's the only age limit I'll say is whatever labor laws exist in Canada today, right? So whatever labor laws exist is the age limit for which you can get into the sector, right? As long as you can work and you're within the labor laws, the limits to work, there's no age limit. There's no upper limit, of course, right? But there will be a lower limit depending on how you can work. Now, is the certified Scrum Master entrepreneurial in nature? No, the Scrum Master is not entrepreneurial in nature, but the Scrum Master can work with entrepreneurs, right? You can become a certified, and you can become a Scrum Master. You can take Scrum certification. Let me put it like this: you can take Scrum certifications to look at how to adapt that mindset in your business. That's one way to look at it, and you can become a Scrum Master in case you want to have a job. So I've worked with people that have implemented Kanban in their business. So when they're doing a program, they use the concept of Kanban, which is an Agile framework to, just like Scrum, to be able to do their business. So you can use, I would put it like this: you can use Agile in your business. I will use that term. You can use Agile as an entrepreneur, for sure.
Okay. I honestly believe this is not a session that will be a one-off. For those who want to learn Scrum, believe me, it is always better for you to speak to the source directly. So I would say don't just watch today. If there's somebody you know, you want to share this with them, you know, for them to also watch and learn, because it's like the crypto, you know, in your sector right now. You know, that's what Scrum is. Like everywhere I turn, I see Scrum Master, Scrum Master. I'm like,
you don't lose anything.
what is this?
What is this Scrum about? I want to tell you an aha moment I had, and I tell them, like, so I'll tell you this, right? Because it keeps on coming up, right? And I spoke to my friend in the UK and the US today. She made that comment. So there's this thing people say that, oh, there are more jobs in the US than Canada, and they also say things like, oh, there are more Scrum Master jobs in the US than Canada. And I said, I didn't argue. I just went and crunched some numbers on LinkedIn, right? There are 11K, at least the last one I did, were 11K plus jobs on LinkedIn for the US, and there was 5K for Canada. Truly, there's less jobs. However, I told them I'm a data person, right? Like, I don't look at data data is not anecdotal to me. It's data. The US, even though these are G7 economies, right? But they're not the same size, right? The US is a bigger economy. There's 300 million people there. In Canada, we're about 30-something million. What's that? We're 10% of, for every 10 people in America, there's one Canadian. And we have half of the jobs. What does that tell you? There's more Scrum Master jobs in Canada per Canadian versus more jobs per person in the US. For a country that is 10% of the size of their neighbor, we have half their numbers. I'm like, I told them, chances of you getting a Scrum Master job in Canada outweighs chances of somebody else getting it in the US, because there's more people chasing the more jobs, in quote. We have half the number. There's more jobs, more Scrum Master jobs per person in Canada. And two, on LinkedIn, I found out that even when I put Scrum, some of the roles that came up was not Scrum Master. There was Scrum Master, there was other different names. team leader, something, delivery manager, what does it tell you? Having been in the industry, project experience is one of the things that most people who are in the financial sector have, insurance. We're constantly doing projects. You don't have to be a project manager, but you'll be the project as somebody, right? Because the project manager has to have a team working with them. Now, they are actually asking for Agile certification, Agile knowledge from people who don't have anything to do with being Scrum Master. So it means that if you want to take on progressively more senior roles in a company, if you put Agile certification on your resume, in fact, there's Agile certification that I can recommend for leaders, right? There's beyond being a Scrum Master, we have professional Agile leadership certification that people can do. Because as a leader, you're not going to come and do the work. You're not going to come and be chasing people around. No, no, no. You are like, we have to be agile. This is why we have to be. You're coming from the high level and making sure that you can help the people down to be agile, right? So beyond even just being a Scrum Master, no matter where you are, I just spoke to a former CEO in Nigeria today. She's a former CEO of a not-for-profit, but she left into consulting. So we're having a chat. She wanted to do Scrum certification. She wanted to join my class. I said, this one has Scrum certification. How will she do 6 weeks? So I thought about it. We had a conversation, and when I understood her mindset, I told her, ma'am, based on what you're saying, you don't need 6 weeks. 6 weeks training is not for you. You're not going to do the work. You need a 4-week training so that you understand what Agile is and what Scrum is, right? Then these are the 2 certifications I recommend for you. You're going to go and do professional Scrum Master so that you can know what Scrum Masters do. But the next exam you're going to do is the professional Agile leadership, because it's people like you that sit at the top to say, we're going to be Agile, and they empower the teams, right? So whether you want to be a Scrum Master or not, you need Agile certification, especially if you're in this part of the world. If you're in this part of the world, you need certification on your resume to stand out.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And believe me, I am very curious now to know how I can add Scrum to my resume as well as, a media personality, and how I can use it in my industry. So I'm taking up that challenge you threw at me, and I definitely want to learn and, of course, give folks, feedback about it. My other question to you is, there are a lot of people, say in Nigeria, for example, how affordable is it? And I do this all the time because we're all immigrants, right? Is Scrum for them. So if you're comparing the 2 countries, right, or continents as it is, Africa and North America, would you say it's easier? You give the statistics of the US and Canada. Would you say it's easier for people to get jobs in Scrum in Africa, right, than North America?
The thing is, the people in North America would actually get jobs more than those in Africa. Doesn't mean that they won't get, right? Because there's a huge demand for it in North America. In Africa, there's a few companies that have embraced Scrum. So if you do have Scrum certification, you have a better chance of getting those few jobs. But what I believe, like, it's a trend, right? It's a trend. You don't want to wait for, now the jobs are there, and then you start to Scrum, and then you start to look for training, and then someone else is getting the job. The Scrum certification is very cheap. Like, let's leave it training. My training, if you come for the 4-day class, it's $300 now, which people should rush. Like, it's 16 hours of learning, right? And you get to talk to me, which is a good bonus, right? 16 hours of learning, like, come and get it. The Scrum certification is 150 USD. That's all you take to write that exam. And that exam is a 90-minute exam. It's not too stressful, right? Because trust me, you never know where you need certification. The few companies that use Scrum might need you. I have 2 friends today that moved to Ireland. They were headhunted from Nigeria. I had conversations with these girls. I'm going to have a live with them. I had to tell them, like, I'm so proud of it. They work in Google. They never applied for the job. Never. Someone reached out to them on LinkedIn. You see, if you want to get the jobs that matter, the jobs that pay, you better be ready. You're not going to say, my friend has moved on, they're making 6 figures or more than 6 figures. Hey, and start scrambling. If you know that this is where you want to get to, start doing the work today. Don't be reactive. Rather be proactive, because you never know who's looking. Someone might call you and then you're like, I listened to Pamela 2 months ago. If I knew I was taking this training, this is how this opportunity have gone. The training is like, in fact, for me, it's a steal, right? 300 Canadian, which is less than 300 USD, right? 150 US. So even if we put it to US, it's 450 US to get trained, get certification on your career that will pay. Like, this is, we're talking about salary, we're talking about 6 figures. So what is $450 for you to earn six figures. If we think about it, if we buy clothes in a month or buy groceries, money is gone, right? Like money is gone. So for the Nigerian market, what I always recommend to them, and I'm still looking for how to make it more affordable, because it's really about, I really want to scale the 6-week training to Nigeria. But for now, most Nigerians who join my class, except the ones that are moving to Canada, most of the Nigerians who join my class 6 weeks are moving to Canada. So they can afford to pay that money because they know that they're coming to get jobs. And for the Nigerians, I always recommend that they do the 4-day training. It's more affordable for them, right? They do the 4-day training. It's good for their pocket. And then I can send them videos and say, you know, continue to watch this, you know, talk to me. I can support you in your learning journey. But I'm still looking for a good way to come up with a practical training within reason that will be great for like an African audience, considering what the exchange rate is like today. Because if you really think about it, I tell you, that training is scary. I know it's it's a million naira to do my 6-week training if you were paying in naira. If you're paying in naira, it's not. And some people have paid for that training, but because they are moving here.
Well, I mean, they know like you said, they know the value, and even listening to you, I can imagine the value it gives you when you just have that training handy before you go to the job market, because that builds your confidence as well. So you're not, like you say, you're not scrambling, you're not scared. You can stand in front of the employer and say, yes, I know my onions. You know, I've got this training. So Pamela, thank you. And I want to ask you, you know, for women in North America who perhaps might want to learn this, but are not, you know, cannot afford it, right? So do you sort of like give consensus to those sort of women sometimes, so that you help them scale up and upskill?
Yes. So one of the first initiatives that we piloted was I give away free training during the International Women's Week, right? Free training. So this person was trained by me free. She's got 1 year worth of coaching. I'm also looking for women groups, because you know we're looking at critical mass, right? We don't want to do it on a case by case basis. So I work with the team in the UK right now because they have a group, right? I'm still looking for groups within Canada that says, hey, we have this group of women and we're looking for a special discount. So that's actually an option, where we have like special discounts for women groups so that we can empower the women that need it. But we want to be very sure that we're not taking away the opportunities from the people that need it. Some people can afford to pay this training, right? We're looking for women that cannot afford to pay this training. They're new to Canada. They've been doing a low-paying job for a long time. How can we continue to empower them? We should try. So my focus really, I want to be able to provide that training to the people that need it the most. I don't want people that can afford to pay that training to come and be looking for discounts. I will give a discount within reason, but I'd like to save a discount to give it to someone who really needs it because they can't pay their bills.
Yes.
Because this is a matter of life and death for them to get this training and get the job.
That's beautiful.
So,
I like that.
Yeah. So any women groups out there can reach out to me, and we can always work out a volume discount for people that come in through through their platform.
Oh, okay. You do that as well. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. You know. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. If you guys have more questions for Pamela, believe me, this has been very insightful for me. I didn't know what I was going to learn when I, brought her on, and now my head is crumbed here. Agile here. Okay.
You're coming for the 4-day training in June. You have to.
Yes. So Agile
you must come.
So I'm so excited, and I also look forward to the 4 days training and what the possibility that would come afterwards. But beyond that, I want to encourage anyone who watched the show today, have a brother, sister, anybody, because I know you people will come to my DM now and start asking questions. So here is the thing: reach out to Pamela. It is not my industry, it's not my sector. I might not have the right answer for you, so I'm putting it out to you. Reach out to her at Redluxe Consulting on Instagram. Then you can find all that details, their email address. You can find other details that, other ways for you to connect with her. So Pamela, before we go, just want you to leave a Mother's Day message for mothers out there who are swinging it, who are combining career with the home front and are successful at it. Your message for them.
Wow. So my message to everyone is that motherhood is such an essential role. Like we have the task to essentially make sure that humanity continues, right? without mothers, we're not going to have human beings. Of course, it takes the mother and the father, but we
Mhm.
are the carriers. And not only that, because we carry these children, we understand what it means to nurture. So I really
Mhm.
work with mothers to understand the important role that they play in the society.
Mm.
That an absent mother is a loss for a child. And let us continue to show up strong. A lot of things that we do are really for our children. We want them to see good examples because otherwise, how are they going to know that they can do it? So I really want us that sometimes it gets very hard. I was telling somebody I only had 4 hours of sleep today. Um, and as a CEO, when I finish, I'm still going to go and do laundry, even though I'm tired. But we cannot give up. We continue to show up for our family, but also challenge us to make time for self-care. Make time for self-care. You have a hugely important role. Be the role models that you expect your children to become. You can't expect a different behavior from a child and not show up that way. So let's
Mm.
model the behavior that we want our children to be. Let's say, am I a good mother? If I look at my child, my daughter, my son, in 15 years, 20 years from now, did I set a good example for them? So let's think of ourselves as role models for them. But again, like mothers, please make out time for self-care. You matter. You matter. On my birthday, someone said it was like a movie. I went for like a 6 hour spa session, and someone was like, why? I was like, my daughter was like, Mommy, can I come with you? I said, no, 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 not today. You can't come with me. I just don't want to talk to anybody for 6 hours today. So make time out for self-care, because when you're mentally rested, you can come back again and continue to pour into your children, into your family, into your husband, into your community.
Amazing. Thank you for that. That's very, very important. We've talked about the career, and I like the fact that we're ending it on a note of self-care. So it means while you're trying to chase that career goal, while you're trying to chase everything out there, do not forget that you also matter. Do not forget that you are the person that needs the career, but that person has to be productive because the world pays for results, not
Of
excuses. So if you get the
course.
job that you want and you start making excuses because you didn't get enough rest, you're not going to function well, right? No employer is going to listen to you. You're not the only person with children, like they always say, not every
Exactly.
workplace. Yeah.
Exactly.
So thank you so much, Pamela, once again for your time.